Hello and welcome to my channel. Today I will be doing a short overview of dismissal and redundancies in the Unit 2.1 of IB Business Management. Here's just a short overview of the table of content for this whole unit, and all these topics will be in a video format on my channel if you want to check them out. So what's a dismissal? Dismissals happens due to employees being incompetent or having done gross misconduct, such as breaching the contract of employment, which results with the employer firing them. So this is the typical movie scene where an employee does something completely wrong and they get fired. But in real life, it's of course way more complex than that, and businesses have to be really careful with how they fire them or how they dismiss these employees. In my next bullet point, I've written HR department needs to follow proper procedures, such as giving proper warnings that include, for example, a verbal warning, formal written warning, and then the final termination of contract to avoid allegations of unfair dismissals. It's not uncommon these days that when a employer fires or dismisses its employees without any warnings, that the employee can go back, the fired employee can go back and sue them and get a lot of pay from the employer because they thought that he was that the employer was firing them on the wrong grounds. So the HR department has to be really careful with that and give out warnings before they fire someone. Or in the case when there's a very big breach of the contract, then it might be able to dismiss the employee completely, but then they'll have to double check that with the HR department. On the other hand, redundancies happen due to the job not existing anymore. That's pretty much the bottom line to redundancies. And this can happen due to a firm no longer being able to afford this position, or new technological advances which take over the job, or a project being completed where the job was needed for, etc. So the underlying theme here is that the job that you are hired to do does not exist anymore, and that's why the employee gets redundant. And there are really two types of redundancies. The first redundancy is voluntary redundancy, and this is often linked with a better severance pay or compensation packages. So these compensation packages usually always come with a redundancy where the employer still pays the redundant employee even after they are already done with their job. They pretty much pay them for a period of time still some sort of salary, or in this case severance pay per month usually. And in the voluntary redundancy case, where people actually step up to do the to be redundant, this is usually linked with a better severance pay. But then on the other hand, there's a compulsory redundancy, and that's when a firm has to choose employees to be made redundant. And this is of course linked with not as good of a severance pay, because the employee is not going voluntary to this. So it's basically the firm wants the employee, that specific employee, to be redundant, which means that the firm probably looked at their objectives and at their financials and so on and said, this person, they don't need him or her anymore. And this type of redundancy oftentimes leads to instability within the business, as you can understand, and low staff morale, which is also linked with high absenteeism. So that's all you pretty much gotta know for dismissals and redundancies. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in my next video.